everyone. Today we're joined by Patrick, who is the president and CEO of Thistle Resources, which has recently started trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker TRCG. Hi, Patrick. Thanks so much for taking the time to sit down and welcome to the Jemini Capital YouTube channel.
Well, thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So, since this is your first official debut on our channel and some of our viewers might not be familiar with yourself, I was hoping you could give us a little background on yourself and how you got involved in Thistle Resources.
Sure. As you said, we just started trading. We're a new listing on the TSXV under TRCG as a symbol, and we had the uh, the good fortune to close the ringing bell last week in Toronto. So that was quite a milestone for us. It's been a long being private and then coming public. It was a long road, and we're very excited to bring this to market. Um, Real short term, we have five projects in the world famous Bathurst Mining Camp. Um, Three of them are gold projects. One is critical mineral, and we have another critical mineral project in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. So we're kind of a hybrid, which is unique. We have the precious metals with the gold and the silver, platinum, palladium, and then we have the copper, lead, zinc, silver, gold, and antimony. So we're really positioned very, very well to take advantage of the precious metals markets and the critical mineral markets.
Amazing. Now, I know you've touched upon it a little bit, but I'd like to dive a bit more into your project. So, can you tell us more about your properties and your flagship project? And what about these regions and the infrastructure in those regions make them stand out as key targets of exploration for you guys?
Sure. Thank you. We have two flagship projects. I could argue a third, but the first one is Middle River Gold. We have a gold deposit that we have with Abitibi Geophysics and EarthX Geoscience. We have identified at least 7 kilometers of mineralized folding, which is very unique. And everyone's welcome to go to our website and download our corporate presentation and see these graphics. We drilled about 400 meters of those ribbons, and we call them ribbons because we did an IP grid for 42 line kilometers, and it highlights both companies with different technology highlight these 7 kilometers of mineralized folds. So it's not a traditional contact like a long strike, but these mineralized folding because of all the volcanic tectonic plate model in the Bathurst Mining Camp over hundreds of millions of years. It's phenomenal. This is a very, very economic deposit. It's from surface to about 130 meters, and we're getting up to almost 40 meters of gold between 1 and 10 grams.
Wow.
We've identified a lower, even stronger zone at 400 meters, which we haven't drilled yet. So that's on our milestones for this year. And like I said, we've only drilled about 400 meters, and we've hit on every hole. So we're very excited to step out from that this year and continue on the seven folds. Our second flagship project is called Brunswick Antimony, and that's unique because we're situated right between the world famous Brunswick 12 mine that had 335 million tons of VMS, the Brunswick 6 mine, and the Kianakon mine. We are right dab in the middle of that triangle, and we have high grade gold, high grade, ultra high grade silver, ultra high grade antimony. We are probably the highest grade antimony in all of North America.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've been following, but antimony is probably the most valuable and important critical mineral right now because China controls so much and for supply chain management and for battery and green energy and EV and all the different things. It is it's almost anywhere from 38 to $55,000 per ton.
Wow.
It's very economic. And we have grades, certified assays up to 10%. And then we also have up to 1,800 grams silver. The silver and the antimony systems are related, which is unique. The only other antimony deposits in North America are just pretty much antimony by themselves between 1 and 3%. We're at 10%, and we've even had XRF results up to 37%. So we're pretty excited to have high grade silver, high grade gold, and antimony 500 meters away from probably the largest VMS mine in the world for in Canada. So we think the systems are related, and we're very high tech uh, centric. So we've done all the geophysics. We've done this over the last 5, 6 years, and we are drill ready on all these projects. So that is going to be a big milestone for us this year as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that sounds incredible. And I'd like to actually go back and touch upon the Brunswick antimony project and the certified assays that you were just mentioning a little bit earlier. So, for some of our viewers who might not be familiar with this kind of technical terminology, can you tell us more about the significance of this news and why it's so important?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will do XRF assays or results, and that's with the laser gun, and you can go out in the field, but it only gives you a point, right? It's a laser. So that point gives you, but when you go to do certified assays, whether it's drill core or a solid rock sample, and we took ours from bedrock, very important. These aren't loose rock samples or grab samples on the surface out in the fields. We dug a trench, we went down to bedrock. So this is outcrop, very important. And then you blast and you bring up the rock and you get them assayed. So it crushes them into, you send them to the labs, they crush them into a pulp, and then they fire assay the entire sample and give you a result. So that is more indicative of a true result for that rock. And then our next step would be to obviously drill these. So, it's pretty extreme. The government's very excited. We actually have them on site next week to come and inspect it. It's very important for the province of New Brunswick. And I just want to say the province of New Brunswick, they at PDAC, they came out and made their critical mineral initiative campaign. The premier, the deputy premier, and the finance minister and the mining minister were all present, and they announced the initiative that New Brunswick wants to be the best jurisdiction in Canada for critical minerals and kind of get rock to road in 2 to 3 years instead of this 10 and 20-year time frame.
Right.
The big thing is the infrastructure in Bathurst. It's the third largest mining camp in the world. It's been mining since the 50s, and we have 45 deposits in that camp. 25 of them are over 1 million tons. And it's a new gold area that's just been discovered. We're one of them. Um, but primarily the government and us, because there's no outcrop left, that means 100% of all the mines to be discovered are hidden underground.
Wow.
There's nothing sticking out of the surface. So it's a lot of new technology and geophysics to shoot subsurface 3D modeling and then drill it. They believe they've only found 30% of the deposits that are out there. And we agree with them. And every time we use new technology, we're having new discoveries. So we're right there. And this happens about every 20 years. So the new technology with the drones and the magnetometers that give you 3D subsurface almost up to a kilometer, very spectacular. And we will be launching that in the next month on the Brunswick antimony.
Wow, that's very exciting. And it sounds like there's a lot of great
Yeah,
potential there. So that's something that we'll
yeah.
definitely be watching out for. Now, I'd like to shift the focus a little bit and just get some insight for any potential future investors that might be watching right now on our channel. So, what makes Thistle Resources, in your opinion, stand out amongst other exploration companies, and why is it a meaningful investment for people to make?
Sure, sure. Just being a new listing, right now we're only listed in Canada on the TSXV. We have applied for the OTC listing for the US and for Germany. So right now, being a new listing, we have a very tight and small share cap. We only have 60 million shares outstanding. And a large percentage of those are restricted. So there's a very tight float. Number two, we have done 7 years of work. We are drill ready. So we're fully funded, $3.5 million. So we are going straight into putting that money in the ground, and we will have constant flow of news starting next month, all the way through the end of the year. We'll be drilling on Thistle Resources gold deposit. We'll be flying the drone and trenching and eventually drilling on the Brunswick antimony. I will say there's one project we haven't discussed, which is very, very important. It's called Middle River VMS. It's the eastern half of the Middle River gold deposit, and it is right on the famous Brunswick horizon. Think of it like a fault that goes all the way down to the Brunswick 12, the Brunswick 6, the Key Anacon, all that. That is the fault where the fluids came up and created these deposits. We have the largest VMS target in the entire camp,
Wow.
and that fault goes right through the middle of it. And you can see it in our presentations, and it's all drill ready. We've got 10 drill targets. It's about 700-meter deep target. We are going to that is a huge milestone that we'll introduce to people as well. So we have 5 projects, all high quality. in the camp with a new company with a small shareholder base. People just don't know about us.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So it's a great entry point. We've been trading for a month, and we believe obviously we're undervalued, and we'll be doing a lot of news and a lot of activity, and we'll be bringing this with future press releases quite shortly.
Amazing. And I know you mentioned some of the news releases that might be upcoming in some of your drill programs. So I guess that flows nicely into how I want to wrap up this conversation, which is I'd love if you could give us a little bit of insight into what we can expect to see in the news or just with the company in the latter half of 2026 and even moving into 2027.
Yeah, like I said, we will be drilling immediately on the Middle River Gold. I mean, the hard thing is there's been a lot of companies used to be able to get a drill rig pretty easily. These days, drill rigs are harder to find because there's so much demand now. And actually, Orbit, the company we use, in the winter in the off season, they had to build 20 new rigs just for New Brunswick. So the demand's out there. We're lucky enough to have a rig for the entire season. We're actually on hold for a second rig, so we will be very active. The other thing I wanted to mention with New Brunswick was the infrastructure, because it's been a mining camp for over 50 years, we have year-round access. We can drill year-round. We are the cheapest jurisdiction in Canada. The drill rigs, including assays, is $100 Canadian,
Wow.
all in. $85 for drilling, and then about 15 to $20 for assay certifications. And you've got jurisdictions in the Yukon and all around Canada between $300 and $500 a meter. So we get a very good return of capital for our investors. And obviously, that equates to we don't need any money for 2 years. So we're not going to do a private placement tomorrow. If you want our stock and you want to have that, which is non-dilutive without raising money, you want to buy it in the market. So we've tried to design this where we're fully funded. We don't need to come back to the market. And if you want to buy the stock, you have to buy it on the exchange. But
Yeah.
we will be doing work. We're there 12 months of the year. We have our crew there, our presence there, our equipment's there, and we put 90% of this money into the ground, which is you'll see a reflection in the results and the activity.
Yeah, that's incredible to hear. And so we're coming up on the end of our time today, but I really want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to join us on our channel for this wonderful and insightful conversation. I hope a lot of our viewers have learned more about Thistle Resources, and I'll link your website as well as your shareholder presentation and just other significant news in our comments below so that people can go and check it out more. But I'm excited to keep up with the company, and I wish you and the team continued success for the rest of the year.
Thank you. I can't wait to come back with some really updated news. I'd like to, ask people to go and track your channel. Also, go to Thistle on our social media because we are very actively posting updates, not always press releases, but updates, videos, drilling, and it's very unique. So we like to make sure we have that communication with the market, the shareholders. So
Of
please
course.
follow us.
Of course. Thank you, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you very much for having me.